Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, we saw a large drop in ES on the Bank of Japan news, but responsive buyers were active at the low from the 25th, and ES has found support at 70 quarter to 72 quarter. So heading into the open, even though we know that the sellers have been dominant in the overnight session, bigger picture, the market is still fairly bullish, and responsive buyers can be active off that 70 quarter to 72 quarter area, and we can still get a move back up, and essentially we can continue to balance within the overnight range. On the upside, the key inflection point is 81 quarter to 83 half. That's the zone that really needs to be taken out in order for the buyers to really start regaining short-term control. Until then, it's a very balanced market, and we'll need to be cautious on taking trades in both directions. On the downside, a break below 70 quarter to 72 quarter would bring the 63 half to 66 support area into play, and the 57 half to 59 half. Both of these are still valid areas of support, with 57 half to 59 half being a higher probability area for responsive buyers to be active, and again, the larger time frame bias would still be bullish, so we can expect the buyers to be active at the support zones below. On the upside, a breakout above 81 quarter to 83 half would be the first signal that buyers are stepping right back in. From there, we can test the 85-75 high volume node, and if we can take that out, then 90 to 91 half, and finally 93 quarter to 94 quarter. Now the expectation is that as long as buyers can maintain ES above initial support, we can just balance within the overnight range. So even if we get a breakout above 81 quarter to 83 half, we can still get sell side active at 90 to 91 half, and especially 93 quarter to 94 quarter, and 96 half to 98 half. So we can essentially just continue balancing within a range. We've seen a lot of volume here in the overnight session, even though it has been declining for the last few hours. Overall, we're still running in a higher volume environment heading into the open, so there can be a little bit more intraday volatility here. Doesn't mean we have to get an absolute wide range, given that there isn't really any major economic catalyst pending at this point for the day session. We can either balance within the overnight range, or in the event that we break initial support, perhaps we go down to 63 half, 66, 57 half, 59 half, then find buyers over there, and then we start balancing again and head back up towards the 70 quarter, 72 quarter area. So the expectation is for a fairly balanced session either way. Even if we break to the downside, we can still get buyers active at the 57 half to 59 half. Now, a break below 70 quarter on the smaller time frames could still result in a liquidation type move into the next zone. So, short term, if we break initial support, it would be a signal that the sell side is in firm control, and we will have to be a little more careful at the 63 half to 66 area. But overall, the probability of a complete trend down move from here is fairly low, because we're already quite extended to the downside. And again, we are doing this within the bigger picture context of a bullish market. So when you take that into account, it's unlikely that we're going to get a big continuation move here in the overnight session, and even if we do get continuation lower, we can still get buyers active at the zones below. So as far as the short side goes, we do need to be a bit more careful shorting the market here, because we are trading near support. So we'd have to see some pretty clear-cut signs in order to consider a short setup. NASDAQ, for example, breaking below its overnight low, that would be a signal that short-term sellers are dominant. Now we can get, at least a little bit more selling on the smaller time frames. So, given the current context, fairly neutral bias heading into the open, and looking for balancing activity. How the market reacts at 81 quarter to 83 half is going to help set the tone, and it's going to tell us whether the buyers are really stepping back in, or the sellers are still dominant and we can just balance below initial resistance. So initial resistance 85.75, those are important areas on the smaller time frames here heading into the open. And if buy side can't take those areas out, then we can balance at lower prices. If we can take out those areas, then we can balance in the upper range from the overnight session. So those are the main thoughts heading into the open. Let's see how the market reacts here at pre-market support, initial resistance, 85.75. That's really going to help set the bias and tone for the day, and we'll take it from there.